Tim, I am so excited to have you on the show today. Welcome to There Is No Try. This is going to be a great conversation. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm wondering what kind of view is that?
It's a beautiful view. I know it's a little bit darkened on the camera here, but it actually overlooks a little bit of greenery and part of the city as well. So we're very lucky.
And I love that city you're from. I really love it. And for those that have never been there, wow.
Boston is,
Culture.
Boston is a great city. So much history. I mean, you literally walk through history to get to work every day. It's just really a special place. I will have to say, watching on the news over the last few days, some of the things that have happened to, I call it my city, man, it hurts. It hurts. And the people that live there hurt. There's a lot of pain going on right now, a lot of sadness. And it's just, it's a very heavy subject. So before we get into all of that, Tim, for the two people out in the world that don't know who you are, give me one or two bullets on how people would know you.
I think I became known as the comeback coach to the stars.
Yep.
Which was kind of an interesting thing because that's not how I set out to, become that. My background is seminary, went to seminary, ended up getting a doctorate in world religion. I'm a humanitarian, been to 75 countries of the world,
Wow.
lifting up people's lives, inspiring in different neighborhoods and places and people. And then later on, it caught on to the NFL. I started helping NFL players. A lot of NFL players know entertainers. They started asking for my phone number. Next thing I know, I was life coaching people before that was popular.
Before that was even a thing.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
I had to go to my therapist friend and ask her like how to do it. And so then it became that. And so that's kind of what I'm known for, helping out entertainers and other folks.
I think a lot of people became aware of you when you had that incredible interview with Oprah. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, no doubt about it. And she's a great friend of mine. We do projects together. And we did something on turning your setbacks to comebacks. And it was one of her most viewed shows for her show, Super Soul Sunday. And then she put me on Super Soul Sessions, which was a bunch of us speaking at UCLA, Deepak Chopra, myself, Brene Brown.
Wow.
And then I got to do cruises with her. Who wouldn't want to cruise with Oprah? And
That's
then
amazing.
life coach her staff and all the stuff that I get to do.
Wow. That's really incredible. Okay, so that's a taste of where you are today, what people know you from today. That's not how you started. You weren't born in Beverly Hills with all these connections. Where'd you grow up?
So I was born in Compton, California. And when I say that, I say it with a lot of pride because a lot of really good things came out of Compton and come out of Compton. The Venus and Serena Williams, Dr. Dre, who's done amazing things.
Amazing.
Kendrick Lamar, the rapper, Tim Storey, life coach. So yeah, raised in Compton. And I was talking to my buddy, Tim Brown, the other day, who played for the Raiders. He's in the Hall of Fame. And he was in the same situation as me, but he was in Dallas. But we had 7 people in a 2-bedroom apartment.
Oof.
And Tim Brown was just telling me his story, and he had the same thing. So that's very crowded. So 7 people in a 2-bedroom apartment. So you kind of slept where you could. Like if there's a space somewhere, for real, I didn't really have like a real bed.
How did your parents, I'm assuming you had both parents in your life at that early time, how did they even figure out a way to feed all those people?
I think that they did what they knew to do. My mother worked at a donut shop. And she later showed me her pay stub. And at the time, she was making about $1.50 an hour. So just think about that.
Jeez.
And then my father worked at Bethlehem Steel. So as in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, but they had Bethlehem Steel in the Los Angeles area. He started there when he was about 20. And so he worked at Bethlehem Steel. They did the best they could. And we slowly would move up a little bit. So we went from like a 2-bedroom apartment to then the big thing, the big push was the 3-bedroom small house we got, but it was super small. But there were
but a house, right?
It was a house, and it had floor heaters, which were super cool.
Oh yeah.
Because like if it got cold, then you could put your feet like on the heater, but make sure it didn't get burned. But I do think that being cramped and crowded, in our case, helped us as far as unity, humor, being lower income. We had to be creative on how we played. It's not like we could see something on TV and then buy it.
Right.
We had to create our own stuff. And, you know, it was a interesting upbringing, and we found our way.
There's tremendous value in that, though, and while it's obviously very difficult to go through, there's no question about that. That obstacle becomes one of your greatest assets later in life. But boy, at the time, it doesn't necessarily feel great. And when you're a kid, you don't know any better, right? When you're 3, 4, 5 years old, you just think this is how the whole world works.
Good point.
But as you got older, so you got 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, tell me a little bit about that sort of, you know, I know you face more struggles on a family level, so share with that as much or as little as you're comfortable with. And then just how do you deal with those challenges in terms of the self-awareness of, oh, other people have it better than me?
Yeah, I think one of the challenges was we started to get some rhythm. I remember when I was 7, there was this kid, David Gonzalez, and he was 12, and he was a phenomenal baseball player. And I mean, really good. And he started teaching me baseball, but at a high level, but I was 7 years of age.
Wow.
So he would pick up the ball and bam, and hit it and make me put my glove on the ground. And I was like a little machine at 7, but I couldn't play hardball till I was 8. And I remember going for practice to see what team I was going to be on. And I'm not kidding, the coaches' mouths dropped because they were like hitting the ball real soft to the other kids, and they were like awkward.
Right.
And then like they'd hit it real soft to me, and I go,
yeah, throwing a heater.
What the heck just happened just now? So I became this phenom 8, 9, 10 in baseball. Like when I was 10, they had to put me with the 12-year-olds because what David Gonzalez brought out of me.
Wow.
Like not even joking. I mean, I could catch the ball here, be on one knee, throw the ball to first. It was like crazy stuff that he was making me do as, you know, working on my skills. So the reason I say that is that because as a little kid, I was finding momentum. So when you have 7 people crowded in a little house, there's really not much that's yours. Everything's shared.
Right.
So this was the first time the spotlight was on little Timmy. And so I was this little phenom in baseball. But it was as a 10-year-old that my father asked my mother if she was hungry. And so she said yes. And because we had eaten already. And so it was later in the night and they were just dialoguing. And my mom said, you know, I wasn't hungry when I cooked dinner, but I am hungry now. And he was a nice guy. And he goes, I'll go get us something. I'm kind of hungry too. So he called this restaurant and he went to pick up the food and he just went through a green light. But somebody ran a red light, hit him, and kills the man. So the man doesn't come home. And he doesn't come home with the food. There's no cell phones.
Right.
Still doesn't come home. About 6:30 in the morning, and I know the story freshly because I asked my mother just the other day about it again. About 6:30 in the morning, two policemen knock on the door and tell us the story that he died.
Wow.
And so the thing that was so troublesome is we just started catching our flow. Like I had my flow in sports, but my brother had his own flow in his buddies. He was 3.5 years older. And then my sisters had their own flow. They're older than me, so they had maybe little boyfriends or relationships, or they were popular at school, whatever. And I'm trying to tell you that life interruption just broke the flow. And what I find is that most people, they don't know how to get the flow back ever, because that was a devastating shot at 10 years of age.
100%. I was just watching an amazing interview literally last night with Tupac Shakur, and obviously a very old interview. It was a very young Tupac, and he was talking about how he lost his father at a very, very young age, and that Tupac, okay, without his father, lacked confidence and lacked discipline, and how that negatively affected him. And I thought, wow, that's really interesting, because we as a culture and a society really hold him with high esteem, right? It's just a very creative artist, but really sort of soulful, deep thinker. And it was really shocking the way he just flat out said, I lost my dad, and I never had the self-confidence and the discipline I would have had until many years later because of that.
Yes.
Right.
Well, number one, I think it's cool that you like Tupac. And number two, I could relate. But for me, see, I lost my father, and that was devastating. And then it lingered throughout my life until today. But don't forget David Gonzalez. Now, you got to remember, I'm only 7.
Right.
A cool kid who's 12, who's got a brother, Jimmy, who's 10. They see this little Timmy Storey in the neighborhood riding his bicycle. They connect to me as friends, right? And David's teaching me to be this baseball guy. So what I didn't have in my father, life started bringing me in other people. So it goes from a 12-year-old kid, then it goes to my 6th grade teacher. Watch how cool this is. So I got a white guy as a teacher, and he tells me in 6th grade, hey, Timmy, can you wait after class? I want to talk to you. And so the whole class goes, ooh, like,
yeah. All right. Here it comes.
So I wait for the guy who looked like Mr. Rogers. And he says to me, Timmy, I think you are, and I'm a wordsmith, and I always have been. So I think you are what? I'm thinking, what is he going to say next?
Yeah.
He goes, I think you are a good basketball player, a good dancer, because he saw me win the dance contest. I don't know. He goes, I think you are, true story, watch. He goes, brilliant. And because of that, hey, I was wondering if you want to read one of my own personal books out of my own personal library that would stir up this way of thinking. True story. He reaches in his bag, pulls out 3 books. To this day, I don't remember the other 2 because I was just caught by this book about the life of Michelangelo. Because I had heard about this guy on some time a TV special that my family had been watching at one point.
Sure.
So I saw that. I thought, that's a cool name. And that's that artist guy. And I said to him, I'd take that one. He goes, okay, you got to check it out. I said, like at the library? He goes, yeah. He goes, let me get you a pencil. And he had done this before because there were all these names. So I checked it out. And he goes, how long is it going to take you to read it? I said, well, when do you want me to read it by? He goes, take 2 weeks. He goes, but this is not schoolwork. This is just me believing in you. I'll never forget that. So
Wow.
I carry that book like it was a bag of gold.
100%.
Because that guy trusted me with what I thought was a very expensive book. So I'll never forget reading that book and it just taking me beyond where I was. So I lived in a cramped place, but the book took me beyond.
Mm-hmm.
So some people call it thinking big in small places. So it allowed me to think big in small places. I now was gone in the life of Michelangelo. So one teacher saying I was brilliant, I bought into it.
There is so much value in that. People don't realize how simple, just a few words can change someone's entire life, right? Especially people who are revered in positions of authority. Them just a moment of kindness can completely change someone's life, right?
Yes.
My story, somewhat similar in that, grew up without a dad, alcoholic mother, still is, sadly. And she's had her struggles. And I found martial arts at a really young age. And my instructor was like, you're gifted at this. Like, you're good at this. You should just do this. And he trusted me with a key. So I always had a place to go.
Wow.
And so from ages sort of 13, 14, all throughout high school until after high school, I would go to the dojo 5 days a week from after school until through little kids class and beginners class and all the way through advanced class. And then I would lock up and leave. He would teach the classes, of course, but I had a safe place to go and someone who believed in me.
I find that so powerful. And
it changed my life.
Yeah. And that you felt honored that he trusted you with the key.
I was the only one with a key. I thought it was, like you said, it was gold. It was the most valuable thing I could have.
That's really, really cool. And I think that sometimes all people need is a little break. And you get a break and then you get a breakthrough. And I teach this, I go, it's not a break sit or a break stand, it's a breakthrough. So guys like me and you decided to go through the break. Yeah.
Let's dig a little deeper on this, because you're building this story of personal momentum, right? You had this massive setback, this huge loss in your life, which derailed your entire family. It would derail anyone. But these other small opportunities, little glimmers, started to present themselves, and you continued to go down that path and start to build that personal momentum back up. So let's get back into Michelangelo's world and how you're growing out of this tragedy.
Okay, so but one thing to note that you do pay attention, I could tell, is that how I understood when something good was happening. Hey, that's unusual that this 12-year-old wants to teach me baseball and keep teaching me.
Right.
What's in it for him? Nothing. His brother Jimmy was a fair player, but Jimmy didn't want to play with his older brother. And when he saw I had charisma and energy and started throwing the ball like he told me, there was a connection. Okay. How about the connection to the teacher that says, do you want 1 or 3 books? What if I said no? Right. Like, you mean there's no extra credit in this? See, right. So when the break happened, notice how I knew it was some kind of break, and I went through. And I feel like most people, they live in this land of disappointment, and a break comes and they don't realize it's a break.
Yes.
Well, guess what? If a break comes, I realize it's a break. Yeah. And that's what happened in my life. My life is break after break after break. It's a lady saying, hey, I would like to do this group and get some people together. And then through her, I was hanging out with Jack Lemmon, Walter Matthau, Charlton Heston, Vidal Sassoon, Leah Iacocca, and I'm still super young. And I'm thinking to myself, I think I just got myself a break.
Wow.
And then men of that power and stature started connecting to me in my 20s and saying, you know, young man, you're a phenomenal listener. And don't forget, one guy told me, that's one of the things that's keeping you in the door. Something else got you in the door, but what's keeping you in the door is you're a phenomenal listener, Tim.
Mm.
And guys like us, we want to pass it on.
Yeah.
And you listen. And I'd listen. Like if I'd go to dinner with Tony Curtis, I would pitch him something and he would tell me all about Marilyn Monroe, but I'd be listening.
Yep.
And then he'd tell me more. Break through. Break
Yes.
through.
Such powerful and great advice that I pray does not fall on deaf ears, because all of us experience breaks in our life, but it's up to us to go through it, to actually execute on that breakthrough. And being a great listener is a practiced skill. One of the things that can make you successful in any endeavor, being married, being a father, a mother, business, doesn't matter, is being curious. Being curious.
Yeah.
And if you're curious, a lot of what you do when you're curious is you ask questions and you listen. And you ask questions and you listen, right? That's a big part of being curious. I will tell you the amount of successful people I have met in all different types of business, from pro NFL stars to Navy SEALs to authors to business people to rap stars. They listened, right?
Yes.
I was funny enough, I was just listening to Kevin Hart talk about the first time he met Jeff Bezos. And he was just so curious, he just wanted to listen.
Yeah.
Right? It was just so funny that someone of his stature, right? The only comedian who's ever blown out in Madison Square Garden, he's been in a million movies, and he's one of the most popular actors, full stop, in the world. And he can't wait to go talk to Bezos for just 2 minutes so he can listen.
That's powerful. But you're correct. And that's one reason Kevin continues to get bigger and better. And he owns his mistakes. I like his honesty about his setbacks in his relationships, his honesty about setbacks in other areas of his life. But again, the power of listening, and also the power of paying attention. Pay a doggone attention.
Yes.
Yeah. So for everybody that's watching, your break is probably right there. It could be in your house. It could be a book right there. It could be a podcast you're now watching. There's your break.
A big reason I do this podcast is specifically to give me a break when I was 18, 19, 20 years old, right? And me, I mean the figurative me. I don't mean literally me. I mean the 20-year-old version of me, because at that age, I was so tired of being poor and miserable and just upset, just grumpy. I'm just angry at the world, just a chip on my shoulder, because I was so upset that life was so hard.
Yeah.
Right. I was like, this is life. Life is this hard. You're screaming with your mom all the time. And you've been on your own since you were 16. And, you're struggling to find enough money for food. Like, this is what life is. Like, this sucks. I don't want this.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So you just started just angry about it. I would have done anything to listen to advice and a mentor and
Yes.
anything like this. And so one of the things that I do is we don't take any advertisement on any level whatsoever. We don't sell anything ever, right? This is a charitable exercise as far as I'm concerned. And so that's the way I look at it, because I'm helping the figurative 20-year-old me and you and everybody else, right? When so that they can listen to great people such as yourself to hopefully be that break and deliver that break to them.
Yeah, and I love your style. I mean, I'm around the best interviewers in the world, and I love your style and the fact that you care. Like that I sense big time.
Thank you.
So
Thank
I
you
gotta
very
go.
much.
I gotta go talk to some people from Africa right now.
Okay.
There's this thing that they do. It's called Zoom,
Yeah.
and you can talk to people from all over the world. You know about
Yes,
this?
I'm aware. I am aware. That's amazing. So you talk to people from A-list celebrities to everyone, right? Anybody sort of down on their luck. You've helped millions of people at this point.
Yeah, but the thing with me is I just help people of all walks of life.
Right.
I just became kind of well known because if you see him on TMZ in trouble, I usually am the guy that's helping them. But no, I help people from all walks of life. So our information is just on Tim Storey Official.
Yep.
If they want to find out more about what we do. But I want to thank you for having me on your platform. And where are you going to take me to lunch when I come to your city? Come on, tell me.
I've got a spot. It's a hidden spot. I don't want to blow it up. I'll say this. It's in the North End, which is the Italian end of Boston. Okay. It's a tiny seafood restaurant. I mean, tiny. I think there's five tables max. And they make the best squid ink pasta you've ever had. The freshest seafood. It is fantastic. So people from Boston know what I'm talking about.
Would you be
that's where we're
open
going.
to emailing my guy or having your assistant and just say that Tim wants to go to lunch when it comes?
Done.
Because number one, I love your city, but I want to connect with you more. I like your vibe and how you think.
I'd love to. Absolutely. We will make that connection after the show. So, Tim, I got to say thank you very much. Where can people direct you, find more about you? Instagram, where do you want the people to go?
Yeah, I think I just go to Instagram and Tim Storey Official, and you'll see all things that are Tim Storey Official.
Official. I got it. We'll actually have a link in the show notes as well to Tim's Facebook page, his Instagram page, and his personal website, so you can learn everything about what Tim is up to. This has been super inspirational. I got to thank you again for being on the show. I was very excited to have you here. This was a lot of fun. So thank you. Much appreciated.
You're welcome.
Thank you. All right. Till next time, everybody. Bye-bye.